art ever since I was a little girl. I also enjoy singing. I sing in church from time to time. There was even a time when I was younger where I'd act out movie characters, and that eventually evolved into me doing plays in high school. And from that, I believe God smiled at me and bestowed on me a gift that He would implant through a seed unique to me and me alone. And don't get me wrong, like, the seed still needs a little nurturing, and got a lot growing to do, but I feel like God really centered my purpose around art and my own interests. So since we're talking about seeds of greatness and gifts, I feel like we should talk about Joseph, an Old Testament boy that a lot of y'all probably know. So Joseph is the 11th of 12 brothers, and he is the son of Jacob. So if you don't know, Joseph is favored by his father among all his brethren. He gets a cool coat in the story, and I don't really condone his dad favoring just him amongst his brethren, but that has something to do with Jacob having Joseph in his older age, and to Rachel, which and that's a whole nother story that we'll get into another time. So Joseph is favored by God in the sense that he has a very unique gift. Joseph has the ability to interpret dreams. Now, not everybody was blessed with the ability to interpret dreams, but that doesn't mean that you don't have a gift that just hasn't been tapped into yet. And yes, sometimes your gift might not be obvious to other people, and it might take time to even figure out what it is. But God does not send us into this world with nothing. Okay, and look at me. We've already kind of established this, but I like doing artsy stuff. I might not be the best at it, but I can say with the utmost confidence that I have a seed that God gave to me, and I'm going to nurture it the best I can. Maybe you like to create and build things with your hands. Maybe manual labor doesn't bother you, and you like the idea of managing people and bringing things into fruition. You like creating things. Or maybe you can talk really well. Maybe you've been through certain experiences in your life that you've come back from, and now that you're in a position where you are able to talk about it, you use your ability to talk to reach people that other people can't. So what it all comes down to is that you have a thing. Everybody has a thing. And that thing, whatever it may be, is your gift. And that gift is a seed that God placed in you to be nurtured and brought into fruition. So at this point, life is good. You have a good outlook on life. You are happy. God has placed something in you that is unique, that is special. You feel good and you feel in yourself. But then God comes along and disrupts your life.
What are you doing? What are you doing with what I gave you? Okay, you're blessed and highly favored, but what does that mean? Joseph, do you think you're better than your brothers? You told your brothers that you had saw them in a dream, bowing down to you. Were you trying to show off or something? Brianna, you can draw, create whatever you want to create, but if all you ever do is dream and never do anything about it, how will you see your goals come to fruition? My children, you have seeds of greatness in you. But in order for you to grow, I have to plant you in a dark place. For you to reach your next plateau, it won't be easy, but take heart. I will never leave you or forsake you.
A dark place. What does that mean? It can be different for everyone, I think. Genesis chapter 37, verse 23. So it came to pass that when Joseph had come to his brothers, that they had stripped Joseph of his coat of many colors. Then they took him and cast him into a pit. Joseph, at the age of 17, would spend the next 13 years in extremely dark places. Now, don't get me wrong. Life can definitely have its pits, but sometimes it's not the pit that's so terrible. It's who threw you in the pit in the first place. My dad abuses me. You're supposed to be there for me. You're supposed to be my protector. You were supposed to protect me. You were supposed to protect me. The love of my life is leaving me for someone else. Why are you leaving me for someone else? Don't leave me, love me. You were supposed to love me. My best friend. When I needed you most, when our friendship was supposed to count for something, because of a need to fit in, you sided with someone who bullied me, who tormented my very existence. You left me all alone. Joseph would trade in his coat of many colors for chains. Joseph, whose gaze once was full of joy and much promise, his eyes now darkened, his heart shattered, and his spirit broken. His world became very dark. Has life ever gotten dark for you? Sometimes when you're in a dark place, your perception can get thrown off. I guess that's why God says walk by faith and not by sight, but it can still be pretty hard to go through, you know? Genesis chapter 39, verse 1. Now Joseph had been taken down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, an Egyptian, bought him from the Ishmaelites. And the Bible said that the Lord was with Joseph. It's good to know that even when things are uncertain, God is with you. So at this point, Joseph is really just trying to make the best out of a bad situation. And with the help of God's grace, he does just that. Everything he does prospers. Everything was going fairly well despite his circumstances. But doesn't life have its own way of knocking you back down even when things seem to be looking up? Genesis chapter 39, verse 6. Now Joseph was handsome in form and in appearance. And it came to pass that his master's wife cast longing eyes on him, and she would continuously, day by day, ask him to, quote unquote, lie with her, and he'd refuse. But one day, when Joseph went into the house to do his work, and none of the men of the house were inside, she caught him by his garment and said, "Lie with me." But he left his garment in her hand and fled. That boy ran away. But even though Joseph got away, Potiphar's wife ended up lying on him, saying that Joseph tried to come on to her. And because of that, he ended up getting thrown into a prison. So in a way, Joseph was thrown into another type of pit.
So, what now?
You tell me.
God, I don't know what's...
Genesis chapter 40, verse 1. Soon there would come a day where two men would join Joseph in his confinement, the butler and the baker of the king of Egypt. One day, Joseph noticed their faces and saw that they were sad. And Joseph, wanting to know what was wrong, said,
Why do you two look so sad today?
And they said unto him,
We each have had a dream, and there is no interpreter of it.
Are dreams not interpretations of God? Tell them to me, please.
God had placed Joseph in a situation where his gift was needed. It seems like God was testing his dedication and his resilience. Now, it wasn't a big audience, it was just a butler and a baker. But sometimes God will put you in situations to see if you'll even use your gift. Will you try even if it doesn't look profitable? So maybe your childhood wasn't so great and you had to grow up rather quickly. But because God gave you the grace to live through those dangerous times, now you go forward and you strive to protect and help others who are in similar situations. And your ability to resonate with others and reach others that other people can't reach, that's your gift. And maybe someone you knew before broke your heart, but it was really God positioning you to meet the person who would bring out the greatness in you. That person who walked away from you, you thank God that they walked away from you, because now you know what God had in store for you all along. And maybe you've been through some experiences that kind of emotionally scarred you and made it hard for you to trust people. But God, with His grace, brings you through that time in your life. And God even leads you to a place where forgiving those who trespassed against you becomes as easy as breathing in and out. Yes, it did take 2 years for it to happen after his incident with the butler and the baker and interpreting their dreams, but eventually the butler remembered that Joseph was in the prison and he put in good word for him. Pharaoh was in need of a dream interpreter, and whoop-de-doo, that was Joseph's area of expertise. So again, God gave him an opportunity to display his gift. So after Joseph once more put his gift into conduct, Pharaoh was so amazed by him and his gift that he placed him in authority over the land of Egypt. Pharaoh gave him a wife, Asenath, and from their union, she gave birth to 2 sons. Joseph now had a family of his own. Joseph's days of being in dark places were over. Joseph had a beautiful wife, 2 beautiful children. He had land, authority, wealth, prosperity. He was very blessed. But have you ever been blessed and highly favored, but still have pain? Deep down, I think everybody has something that makes them sad. Joseph, all this time, had been disconnected from his family. And even though when you're in those situations, you want to stay mad and you don't even want to think about them and you're in a better position now, whenever you revisit what happened in the past and what hurt you and how someone did you wrong, it can still make you sad. But the good thing about God is Tears may endure for a night, but joy always comes in the morning. When Joseph's brothers walked through that door, I bet you he thought he was dreaming. Like, he's an interpreter of dreams, but I bet you in that moment he could not believe his eyes. So what brought the brothers there in the first place was the fact that their family was starving. And what was Joseph's first reaction? Believe it or not, pettiness. I mean, don't get me wrong. He was resentful at first. I mean, wouldn't you feel a certain way? Now, Joseph could have did a lot of things. He could have turned them away and said, no, go starve. He could have imprisoned them all and just locked them up with no explanation. He could have even killed them, quite candidly. In the Bible, he even kind of went through this whole like dance around like the subject too. I think he didn't even really know what to do with them right away. If you go read the Bible, he kind of sends them like back and forth, like, oh, go get your younger brother, go do this, I think you're thieves, stuff like that. And if you want to get more into that, go read the Bible. It's a pretty interesting story. But why was Joseph favored in the first place? Why did God choose him amongst all his other brethren? I think I know why now. God chooses people based off their heart. God knew that Joseph was the type of person that even if he wanted to be mad, he couldn't. His heart was so kind. God knew that Joseph would save them. Because when push comes to shove, they're his family. And he loves them.
I am Joseph. Tell me, does my father live?
Please, come near to me. I am your brother, who you sold into Egypt. But now, do not therefore me be grieved or angry with yourselves. You shall be near to me, you and your children, your children's children, your flocks and your herds, and all that you have.
I've made peace with what happened.
I'm okay with how you hurt me.
For what you meant for evil, God turned it around for my good.
God has sent you before me to preserve life.
So, when you're navigating through those dark places and you feel like God has forgotten you, I want you to know that God is in it with you always. He's not a God who leaves you and forsakes you. If God let something face you, that means you can handle it. And it means he's going to turn it around for your good. You have greatness in you. Everyone does. Sometimes life experiences can make it seem like you don't, or maybe people passed you over, or maybe you just never had someone tell you that. But I'm telling you today, yes, you have greatness in you. And when you get with God, he'll show you where to find it.